So we are live now. So
Mm.
So, morning everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are
Yes, sir.
audible.
So, I've just switched over to my phone. There's some issue with the system. So,
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Okay.
Should we start, sir?
yes, go ahead, please.
Yes. Okay. So, a very good morning and a warm welcome to our distinguished speakers and panelists and our online audience. On behalf of the Global Tiger Forum, I welcome you all with great pleasure to celebrate the International Clouded Leopard Day, a day which is being used to raise awareness about one of Asia's most remarkable and yet least understood small wildcat species. This is also one of the focus species under the GEF-7 Small Wildcat Project. And clouded leopards, medium-sized cats, are considered the largest among the small wildcats. And conserving the clouded leopard is not just confined to protecting a single species, but it simultaneously safeguards the rich tropical forests of South and Southeast Asia, supporting a vital biodiversity while providing essential ecosystem services to millions of people. This is an elusive species, also referred to as the ghost of the forest due to their arborous characteristics and reclusive nature. Our today's theme of the webinar, Beyond the Stripes, bringing clouded leopards into the conservation spotlight, brings together researchers, conservation practitioners, policymakers, forest managers, students, and wildlife enthusiasts under the same platform to celebrate the extraordinary species by sharing the latest scientific knowledge, discuss conservation challenges, successes, and explore collaborative approaches to secure its future. With that, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Vaibhav Mathur, presently serving as the IG, Inspector General at the Wildlife Division of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Dr. Mathur joined the Indian Forest Services in 2006 from the Assam cadre, and he holds a master's degree in epidemiology from the Indian Veterinary Institute, along with a PG diploma in wildlife management from the Wildlife Institute of India. Dr. Mathur has since served as the director of Dibru Saikhowa National Park Biosphere Reserve, managing 2 protected areas. During the stint, he has also successfully completed the protected area tactical enforcement conservation training at the House of National Park in Thailand. He joined the NTCA in 2014, wherein he was part of certain policy initiatives in tiger conservation and the wildlife sector. And on returning to his state, he joined as the Joint Director of Kaziranga Tiger Reserve and the Field Director, Manas Tiger Reserve. At present, he is also the Project Director of the GEF-7 Small Wildcat Project. With that, over to you, sir, for the keynote address.
All right. Thank you so much, Shreyasi, and greetings to one and all on the occasion of International Clouded Leopard Day. As was mentioned earlier, that the species uh, probably does not get the due importance it should get. Keeping in view the more charismatic species. I'm again saying more, but the other charismatic species which hog the limelight most often. Because this is largely because of the fundamental philosophy which the government of India has adopted of targeting an umbrella species. And the understanding is the fundamental ecological food chain and food web will take care of the rest. But still, there are species in peril which do require focused attention. And towards this end, the government of India has identified a certain set of species. They're numbering 24, and we have recently added the pygmy hog and the Bengal florican to this a particular list. Insofar as the clouded leopard is concerned, you're all well aware that the government of India has this externally aided project, which is in collaboration with the Global Tiger Forum, the UNDP, who and along with the ministry are implementing it. So, as a targeted initiative, this particular project addresses small cats, with clouded leopard being one of them. Now, recently, under the aegis of this project, for the first time, we have probably taken out a conservation action plan for three small cat species, which includes the clouded leopard. And this particular document was released during the last standing committee of the National Board for Wildlife. So, yes, the government of India has taken an initiative towards this species. We felt that the other protocols and practices which are being undertaken in various protected areas across the country do not adequately address the concerns of this species. Case in point being the occupancy, the estimation itself, which our regular camera trapping cannot address, because the species largely being arboreal. So yes, we have taken initiatives, and probably the next step towards addressing clouded leopards and other small cats would be a field level manual, which is being thought of under this particular project. Along with the Global Tiger Forum. They've already submitted a draft, which we are currently reviewing. And I think that particular initiative should also feed into strengthening the efforts which are already happening across the country. So, with these words, I'll end my introduction, and there are lots of other specialists to be heard during the course of this webinar. So thank you once again, and greetings once again on International Clouded Leopard Day. Thank you. You're muted, Shreyasi, I think.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Mathur, for so succinctly putting together the work that we've completed so far and the work we're looking forward to achieving under this project. With your permission, now we go ahead and I request Mr. Monish Kapoor, Head Program and Partnerships of the Global Tiger Forum, to kindly set the agenda and the theme for today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreyashi, and thank you, Dr. Weber Mathur sir, for giving that insightful keynote address and to why this species deserves the conservation importance, as well as the efforts which are now ongoing on this front in India, in the transboundary area, as well as other countries. And given it's an elusive species and the niche habitat which it occupies, I think it becomes even more important to conserve and protect this particular species. And it also serves as a guild for other mesopredators, especially where there is no big cat present in those landscapes. So with that, today we have an interesting set of experts. Firstly, representing the three case study countries for today, Bhutan, Nepal, and Malaysia. And they'll be individually introduced during the sessions by our host, Shreyashi. So we would look forward to hearing those insightful inputs from these countries on this species. Then, of course, we have Zeenal, who is the National Project Officer. She'll talk more on how this project is contributing to the larger goal of small wildcat conservation across tiger landscape. So that the linkages and how the learning from the tiger agenda is being taken forward while doing the small wildcat conservation in India and the transboundary region. Then we have Urjit from WII. They have, as Dr. Weber Mathur sir mentioned, they have just finished and released the conservation action plan on three focus species, the clouded leopard, fishing cat, and caracal, and all occupy different parcels of habitat across their range. So they become really, really crucial as indicators for their respective ecosystems. And then, of course, Dr. Pramod Yadav, who has been working on a consultative approach to come up with a transboundary distribution across the three countries in India, Nepal, and Bhutan. And that is still in the draft stage, but this gives us an opportunity to discuss that and take this forward. So I welcome all of you. And again, welcome to all the three speakers from different range countries also, Dr. Yadav Gimre, Dr. Langten Dorji, and Rufino Ji from Malaysia. We look forward to hearing from you today. So back to you, Shresh.
Thank you, sir. With that, I would like to give a short but brief introduction of Ms. Zeenal, who is our first speaker for today's webinar. Ms. Zeenal Vazrinkar is presently serving as the National Project Officer for the GEF-7 Small Wildcat at the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. She is a wildlife biologist by both passion and profession and brings over a decade of experience that spans across wildlife ecology and behavioral research, project management, and stakeholder engagement across diverse landscapes in India. Throughout her career, she has led and supported national and state level conservation initiatives, combining scientific research with practical conservation planning and implementation. Her expertise encompasses human wildlife conflict mitigation, land use planning, biodiversity conservation, and community based conservation. She's also highly skilled in applying innovative technologies and data driven approaches to strengthen species conservation and landscape management. And over the years, has built strong partnerships and delivered impactful conservation outcomes by working closely with government agencies, international organizations, non-governmental organizations, and academic institutions. With that, I would like to welcome Ms. Zeenal Vazrinkar. Over to you, Zeenal.
Thank you so much, Shreyashi. And good morning to everybody. I am glad to be a part of this initiative, especially on the clouded leopard range, one of the focal species that we are trying to conserve through this project. And I welcome you all and appreciate that we are doing this on the clouded leopard day with so much expertise that are going to be speaking clouded leopard and the work that has been conducted in each of the countries. With that, I should start my presentation. Can you just tell me if my presentation is visible?
Yes, your screen is visible.
Reenal, you are on mute.
Yeah, sorry. So I welcome you all, and I shall just start with an overview about our Small Wildcats project that we have been undertaking in across 3 states. And this is a Government of India, UNDP, GTF, and GEF initiative where we are trying to conserve small wildcats, which are usually not focused as much, given the glamorous species, as sir also said, that highly glamorous species are always focused most of the time. But the lesser known species are, not studied, and we don't have much data, given their elusive behavior, their habitat specific behavior. And so this project entirely focuses on how small cat can be conserved through a landscape level approach. So India is one of very diverse in terms of flora and faunal diversity. With we have 9 species of small wildcats, representing one of the richest assemblages of elusive predators anywhere in the world. We have big cat species like lions, tigers, leopards, snow leopards, And now that we have also introduced cheetah. But then again, with these glamorous species, the lesser known small wildcats are they take a backspace, and hence this project entirely kind of aims to integrate conservation of small wildcats into the landscape level planning management, ensuring that these overlooked species receive the necessary attention for their long-term survival. As you know that these are our 9 small wildcat species. The rusty spotted cat, basically the smallest cat in the world, weighing only 1.6 kgs. It's endemic to Indian subcontinents and found in mostly forests, grasslands, agriculture landscapes. Then we have a fishing cat, which is uh, partially adapted for aquatic habitats, and it has webbed feet, which many might not know, and excellent swimming abilities. It is mostly found around the wetlands and marshes floodplains. Then we have leopard cat, which is often mistakenly somehow also considered cubs of leopards sometimes, but it is a small wildcat species and found throughout the Asia and occurs throughout Northeast as well as Himalayan foothills. Then we have our Asian golden cat. Now, Asian golden cat is least studied forest cats and largely confined to Northeast India. It inhabits evergreen and mountain forests. Also, they have 6 forms, melanistic to reddish brown to gray to golden, and it is an important mesopredator. Mostly feeds on small prey. It has a few conservation challenges given that ecological information on Asian golden cat is still less compared to other wildcats. Then we have Asiatic wildcat, which inhabits the arid as well as semi-arid landscapes, and including Rajasthan and Gujarat. It is not as adaptable compared to jungle cat or other or small wildcat species, so it is habitat specific. Then we have our clouded leopard, which is the focal species for Arunachal Pradesh. It's listed as vulnerable, and it is primarily found in Northeast, especially in Arunachal Pradesh. And basically, because it's a highly arboreal species, so the studies, excuse me, the studies depending on its ecological aspects, the behavior, the prey base, is still less compared to any other small wildcats. And then we have caracal, which is found in Rajasthan and Gujarat. Less than 100 remain. And again, because of its elusive behavior, it is not as studied, and which is also our focal species through this project. Then we have jungle cat, the most adaptable of the small wild cats that we have in India. It is highly adaptable and occurs outside protected areas, most often in agriculture fields and farmlands and rural and urban as well. And then we have marble cat. Now, marble cat is also Asia's rarest and least understood of the forest cat and found in Northeast India as well. So the next is where the overall aim of this project is to integrate conservation needs of small wildcats into India's existing landscape level. India's existing landscape level framework, which has traditionally focused on larger flagship species such as tigers and leopards, while conservation initiatives for large carnivores have resulted in significant habitat protection. Small wildcats often occupy the same landscapes but receive comparatively less attention in research, monitoring, and management. The project therefore adopts a landscape approach, recognizing that conserving forests for one species should also benefit the entire guild of wildcats and the broader biodiversity they support. By strengthening science, management, policy, and community participation, the project ensures that wildcat species are considered together. Uh, Basically, the entire expected benefits of this project are terrestrial protected areas created for and under improved management. Key indicators is providing and improving the effective management within protected areas. This includes strengthening habitat management, biodiversity monitoring, and conservation planning to ensure these protected areas provide better outcomes, not only for clouded leopards, but all small wildcats that we have in India. The next is since wildlife moves beyond protected area boundaries, they do not know the boundaries that we have created, such as national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, terrestrial forests, urban forests, uh, and hence, so this entire landscape approach helps us to promote sustainable, practices outside these protected areas, and not just the protected areas that we have delimited for our understanding. By improving this management of forests outside the protected areas, and the project helps in this ecological connectivity that the animals don't know boundaries of. Do this, most of the projects also happen now these days, include communities, is because community play an important role in conservation if it's a landscape level approach. And hence, when local communities benefit directly from these conservation initiatives that we bring to, they support livelihoods opportunities, capacity building, conservation education and awareness, community-based enterprises that improve local incomes while reducing pressure on the forests. Our main goal is also to reduce pressure on the forests, hence involving communities, their understanding, their traditional knowledge about species holds utmost importance in any conservation project that we initiate in India. Hence, beneficiaries by gender ensures that both women and men participate equally in these project activities. This reflects the project's commitments to integrating biodiversity conservation as well as sustainable development of community well-being as well. The success of this project will not only be measured by improvements in wildlife conservation, but also healthier landscapes, stronger institutions, and empowered communities. Hence, by integrating small wildcat into landscape level, conservation planning is going to be the utmost project that delivers ecological, social, and economic benefits. So our implementing partners is the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, NTCA, the state governments of Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan and Arunachal Pradesh, Wildlife Institute of India and Global Tiger Forum. Executing partner is United Nations Development Program. And our geographical focus is also Uttar Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh and Rajasthan. In Uttar Pradesh, we have a fishing cat. In Arunachal Pradesh, we have a clouded leopard. And in Rajasthan, we have our caracal. So these are our project sites. And in Arunachal landscape, we have Paki Tiger Reserve, Eagle Nest Wildlife Sanctuary, and Sasa Orchid Sanctuary. Basically, Eagle Nest Wildlife Sanctuary, Paki Tiger Reserve, and Sasa holds 6 small wildcat species which are least studied. Most of them are often only encountered through camera traps that have been set for tiger conservation and yearly that we do the monitoring for. In Uttar Pradesh, our landscape is Kishanpur, Dudhwa, and Kathiawar Wildlife Sanctuary. Since these wetlands have also been less studied, fishing cats and their habitats needs to be understood very well, given that, again, fishing cat is a very habitat-specific species. And in Rajasthan, we have Ranthambore Tiger Reserve. Now, caracal, again, being very elusive and less studied, also finds it very difficult to conserve a species which is so less studied. Several studies have been conducted so far, but conservation actions and measures have not been initially taken a course at. And recently, WII has collared an individual through which we will get good data. But again, more studies regarding this species is very much necessary. In the next slide, we have, so these are the major activities that we have conducted so far through our project. And basically, policy planning is very important, given that national and landscape level consultations with government agencies, research institutions have contributed in creating species recovery action plans, which are conservation action plans. Then we have landscape master plans, and then we have standard operating procedures and monitoring protocol. Now, these are important. These acts as base to conserve any species on a landscape level, because most studies which will involve focusing on these species will require a baseline or conducting how to go about at a landscape level approach. With this, then we have formed committees across landscape as well as state levels. We have been business platform as well, where we invite CSRs, corporate stakeholders, as well as local businesses to invest in within the community and the livelihoods that are already existing in our focus study states. And with that, we also want to improve, as I mentioned earlier, to reduce the pressure on our forest, and helping communities through these projects is also one of our important goals. Since we also are inviting CSRs and green businesses to invest. With this, we also have a lot of awareness and outreach programs. We have organized webinars just like today, and World Wetlands Day we have celebrated. We have also celebrated football tournaments in Arunachal Pradesh, where students enjoyed getting their names from small wildcats as their group heads. Because having, even though with the traditional knowledge that is not getting passed on to this upcoming generation, they were quite surprised to know that these many cats have also been existing within that same landscape where they are staying. So it was very much important as well as news to them that we have these cats. Then we have also transboundary collaboration, given that our two of the landscapes, which is Uttar Pradesh and Arunachal, joins the boundaries of Nepal and Bhutan. And since again, animals do not know boundaries, it's our political states that we have created those boundaries, and hence kind of initiating those first level of transboundary meetings, understanding their level of conservation actions that they have been conducting in their countries, how we can be developing together research and monitoring protocols based on the movement that happens through these boundaries. So we are collaborating with Nepal and Bhutan on through this project as well. With this, we are also doing a lot of capacity building, where awareness workshops, training programs for the frontline staff for all the line departments has been started, and to increase the overall capacity development through this project are also one of the goals. Now, clouded leopard conservation through this project, one of our focal species is clouded leopard, and one of our focal state is Arunachal Pradesh. And hence, on this day, we are trying to create more and more awareness of this elusive species that not much has been studied about. Now, this is the map that we have, where the range of the clouded leopard is shown. As you can see, we have them in Nepal, Bhutan, northeast with Arunachal Pradesh, as well as Myanmar and China, and then Thailand as well. Now, to give a species overview, clouded leopard, which is Neophilus nebulosa, is the India's only medium-sized arboreal wildcat and one of the least studied felids in Asia. Now, it is a distinct. This is because it is not as small as the small wildcats, but it is not as big as the big cats that we have. And so most of them, whenever the word leopard comes into the name, they often kind of assume that it is a big-sized animal and not a small wildcat species. And it is primary arboreal. That's why it is very difficult for them to get trapped in our camera traps whenever monitoring is being conducted. It is highly nocturnal and solitary, spending much of its time in forest canopy. it is extremely difficult to detect and study. The species is easily recognized by its distinctive large cloud shaped markings, which provides excellent camouflage in the forest. Globally, the clouded leopard is distributed across eastern Himalayas, Southeast Asia, and its Indian range extends to Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur, Tripura, and Sikkim. Sikkim on a lesser level. Well, important strongholds include Paki Tiger Reserve, Eagle Nest Wildlife Sanctuary, Namdafa National Park, and Gampa Tiger Reserve. This supports some of the country's most significant populations. Now, talking on its ecological importance, clouded leopards play an important ecological role as top predator within tropical and subtropical forest ecosystems. By regulating populations of mammals and birds, it helps maintain ecological balance, contributes to overall health of forest ecosystems. And conserving hence clouded leopard contributes to conserving broader biodiversity of Northeast India's forests. Now, threats which usually are the greatest threats to clouded leopards are habitat loss and degradation driven by land use change, infrastructure development, and forest fragmentations. Now, fragmentation isolates populations, reduces connectivity between habitats, and limits genetic exchange. Although legally protected, species continues to face threats from hunting illegal wildlife trade, particularly for its skin, teeth, and other body parts. Shreyash, am I still? Can you see the slides?
Yes, yes, we are on the species overview slide.
Yeah, sorry. I think because it went. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So mostly the populations decline, the prey populations which decline are also due to unsustainable hunting, which reduces the food availability for the species. Increasing anthropogenic pressures, expanding settlements, roads, resource extractions, human disturbance, further reduce the habitat quality and increase stress on wildlife population. And hence, conservation challenges are also because of its difficult terrain, extremely elusive behavior, lack of dedicated monitoring protocols, insufficient long-term data sets, and weak landscape level planning. Hence, through this project, we are also okay. Yeah. Hence, through this project, we are also trying to focus on its species ecology, where we get more information about its habitats, its pattern, its behavioral, and its behaviors. So, through this, uh, because dedicated ecological research has been now that it has been initiated and to generate scientific information. So this project is going to help us generate scientific information that is essential for its evidence-based decision making. Now, research on habitat use will identify types of forests, environmental conditions preferred by the species, and studies on its activity pattern will improve our understandings and include how it needs to respond to changes with the human disturbance. With this, we are also kind of going to be strengthening our monitoring systems where effective conservation, which requires consistent long-term monitoring to understand how population habitats change over time. This project will establish standardized monitoring protocols for clouded leopard conservation with focus of capacity building of frontline staff, which play a vital role in wildlife monitoring, uh, as well as establish long-term ecological monitoring systems to track changes in specific distributions, occupancy, habitat quality, and emerging threats. Uh, with scientific, as I mentioned before, given a scientific baseline generation is quite important to create long-term monitoring assessments. Hence, standardized camera trapping will be conducted using uniform survey designs to document species presence. Occupancy modeling will be conducted, habitat suitability assessments, GIS-based landscape mappings, as well as priority habitats. So priority habitats are essential given that once we want to try to understand the entire landscape land use change, and hence to identify these priority habitats which will require enhanced protections, restoration, and improved management. Now, landscape conservation is our approach where we are not just going to be focusing on protected management, protected areas, but also outside protected areas. With this, as I mentioned earlier, the communities play an important role in landscape level approach. Hence, key partners in our project are also the communities, which will promote participatory approaches, which creates awareness and conservation education. We are also going to be introducing many livelihood programs, which will support opportunities as well as nature-based enterprises. With this, we also want the communities to understand wildlife better rather than thinking them as a problematic animal or problematic animal wildlife species. Through this project, we're also kind of trying to create more awareness, more human wildlife coexistence, which will reduce illegal trade, which will build coexisting models and strengthen local stewardships. To strengthen these, we have just released our conservation action plan for these 3 species, and one of which is our clouded leopard. We also have field manuals released. And for today in Arunachal Pradesh, which is our state responsible state for this project, is also releasing our small wildcats of Arunachal Pradesh field manual in their states. And these are the fact sheets that we have created to spread awareness through information. And yeah, but thank you. Shreyashi, over to you.
Thank you so much, Zeenal, for your very informative presentation on the work that we've done through the project so far and the kind of work we're envisioning in the future. And with that, I would like to now invite our next speaker for the day, Dr. Pramod Yadav, to kindly present his presentation titled Across Borders, Beyond Boundaries, Securing the Future of the Clouded Leopard. A little background on Dr. Pramod. He has earned his PhD from the Clemson University in South Carolina, USA, where he has specialized in applying conservation, social science theories, methods, and analytical approaches to policy, governance, and sustainability research. His expertise extends to the use of geospatial technologies for wildlife conservation, including landscape dynamics mapping, species habitat suitability modeling, and wildlife corridor delineation, providing valuable scientific evidence for conservation planning and decision making. At present, he serves as a technical expert with the Global Tiger Forum, supporting a range of ongoing conservation and management initiatives across the region. With over 10 years of professional experience, he has worked across diverse areas of conservation, including areas of requiring community resilience, sustainable livelihoods, wildlife trade, wildlife interactions, monitoring, evaluation, and conservation interventions. His interdisciplinary approach is something which bridges ecological science with the social dimensions of conservation, contributing to more effective and inclusive conservation outcomes. With that, over to you, Dr. Pramod.
Thank you,
Pramod,
Suresh.
yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Suresh. And so, okay. So today I'm going to talk about securing future of clouded leopard across borders beyond boundaries. So basically, I will build what Jinal talked about. Uh, Again, so conservation status of clouded leopard. There are two species of clouded leopard: mainland clouded leopard and Sunda clouded leopard, and their habitat spread from Himalayas to Borneo, and Sunda clouded leopard are found in Borneo and Sumatra. Uh, and the IUCN Red list species, it's vulnerable. It's also listed as Appendix 1 in CITES. The population of global estimate population of clouded leopard ranges from 3,700 to 5,500, which is almost, I mean, little bit lesser than wild tiger population. And in last 20 years, population of clouded leopards has been decreased almost 30% in countries like Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Bangladesh, and China. And reason is a major reason is habitat loss and illegal wildlife trade. And what we have done at GTF so far is trying to identify gap in transboundary landscape. Like Gina was also mentioning about a gap in species ecology, population dynamics, and human threats. There is also limited documented information on research trend and themes for this species. And localized transboundary centric information is also lacking right now. So my reason might be that there's less attention or funding opportunity to work on this particular species in the region. And what we have done so far is documented pre-reviewed work in like transboundary landscape, India, Bhutan, and India, Nepal. And we are trying to understand different thematic study and trying to identify problems which can be taken up in the future. And one of the major problem in the region is illegal hunting and trade. Although a tribal community from the region, especially from northeast India state like Arunachal and Mizoram, hunting of this particular species has been in cultural practice, and that is one of the biggest threat. Also, there are international demand for pelt and bones. That is also kind of appears increasing year by year. And live clouded leopards are also, I mean, caught and traded in different countries. And this is one of the picture. It's a very old picture, like 20 years back. How like community used to do. I mean, two kids are posing after hunt of a clouded leopard in Mizoram. So what I'm trying to say has been cultural practices in the past, and this is the I mean kind of map had to recorded routes and sites involving live animals and derivatives. And this study shows that how, I mean, most of this demand is coming from China or Southeast East Asia. So what we are trying to put together is like prioritizing regional cooperation, and we are trying to do that how regional cooperation or platforms are needed, transboundary habitat corridors, and then standard monitoring protocols would require to practice in all transboundary landscape. We have to also kind of have a protocol to share data, and intelligence led enforcement is also required, because the border of these transboundary landscapes are very porous. And then of course we need community stewardship and collaborative research capacity. So and last but not the least, sustainable regional finance is very important. I think that's one of the reason researchers are not able to focus on or conduct different studies on this particular research or particular species. Like Mathu sir was also mentioning that limelight is going on or other charismatic species. So sustainable finance is very important for it. That's it from me, Seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pramod, for that glimpse into the cultural practices that were prevalent and the ways in which we have to look forward to tackle these issues in the future. I would now request our next speaker, Dr. Urjit Bhatt, who will be speaking on the clouded leopard conservation in India from research to action. A little introduction on Dr. Urjit. He is a project scientist at the Wildlife Institute of India in Dehradun, and his research primarily focuses on carnivore ecology, wildlife conservation, and tropical forest ecosystems, with a strong focus on clouded leopard ecology, species interactions, and camera trap-based wildlife monitoring. He has completed his PhD on the habitat use and interaction of mammalian carnivores in Manas National Park, Assam, and has published several peer-reviewed publications on the clouded leopard and other carnivores. He has also contributed to the development of India's conservation action plan for the clouded leopard, which he will be elaborating on through his presentation. And this translates the kind of scientific research that we have covered under this project and finds practical applications which will help in protecting this elusive threatened wildlife species. With that, over to you, Dr. Urjit Bhatt.
Yeah. First, I'll share my presentation. Yeah. So just a minute. So thank you, Shreyasi, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank the Global Tiger Forum for inviting me to speak on International Clouded Leopard Day. As part of Government of India UNDP GEF-7 project, the Wildlife Institute of India is working with MOFCC, UNDP, Global Tiger Forum, and state forest departments to strengthen the conservation of three priority species, that is caracal, fishing cat, and clouded leopard. So under this project, we are mainly leading the development of conservation action plans while also supporting research, monitoring, capacity building, community engagement, as well as long-term conservation. So today, I will mainly focus on clouded leopard and share how our research has contributed to its conservation in India. So in this webinar, I will take you through mainly three parts. First, I will briefly introduce the clouded leopard. Second, the key findings from our research in Manas National Park. And finally, an overview of the recently developed conservation action plan for securing its future. So, as we all know that the clouded leopard is one of the most unique cats in the world. Its large paws, sharp claws, flexible ankles, and long tails, which make it one of the best tree climbers among all wildcats. It can climb headfirst down trees, as you can see here in image, and even hang upside down from branches. And these adaptations help it move through dense forest, but also make it very difficult to observe and study. One of its most remarkable features is its exceptionally long canine teeth, the longest relative to skull size among all living cats. So at first glance, it resembles to the extinct saber-toothed cats. However, they are not closely related. Instead, both evolved similar long canines independently, a classic example of convergent evolution. And this makes the clouded leopard one of the most unique living cats. Evolutionary, the clouded leopard is very special. It belongs to its own genus Neophelis and represents the earliest branch of the Pantherine lineage. In simple words, it is one of the oldest surviving relatives to big cats. Today, two clouded leopard species are recognized. The mainland clouded species, which occurs across Himalayan foothills and Southeast Asia, while the Sunda clouded leopard, which is found only on the islands of Borneo and Sumatra. And these two species evolved separately after long periods of geographic isolation. As we all know, in India, the species is found mainly in the forest of Northeast, and these landscapes contain some of the country's most important remaining populations. So, beyond its ecological importance, the clouded leopard also has cultural value. It has appeared on postage stamps across several Asian countries, and these stamps reflects its importance as symbol of biodiversity, and also further it helped raise public awareness for its conservation. Clouded leopards are strongly associated with dense forests and that have good canopy cover and complex vegetation. Although they occur in different forest types, they depend mainly on dense vegetation and vertical forest structure, and which further facilitate them for movement, camouflage, resting, and hunting. They have diverse diet, mainly feeding on small and medium-sized mammals, primates, birds, and occasionally pangolins. And its remarkable climbing ability allows it to hunt both on the ground as well as in trees. And despite these remarkable adaptations, the clouded leopard is globally threatened. Fewer than 10,000 mature individuals are estimated to remain, and still the population is still declining. So there are only two studies from Manas and Dampa which have provided important local density estimates, but long-term population information is still very limited. The species is listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List. In India, it receives the highest level of protection under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act. It is also listed under CITES 1 Appendix, which prohibits international commercial trade. Despite this, legal protections conserving such as elusive species remains a major challenge. If we talk about threats, then major threats include habitat loss, declining prey populations, increasing human disturbance, and its own secretive nature, which makes it is very difficult to monitor in the wild. This image shows one of the biggest threats to clouded leopard: forest degradation. Logging, shifting cultivation, and other human activities reduce habitat quality and break up, or you can say fragment continuous forest into smaller isolated patches. Another important trait is prey depletion. When habitat loss and hunting reduces the wild prey populations, clouded leopards have less food available. So as a result, they may move closer to the human settlements in search of prey, and which increases the risk of human-wildlife conflict. Poaching also remains a major concern. They are illegally hunted for their skins, body parts, and in some areas for the exotic meat trade. Another major challenge is that clouded leopards are extremely elusive. They live in dense forests, are mostly active at night, and are rarely seen. And because they are difficult to detect, they are often overlooked in research, conservation funding, and policy decisions. With this background, Let me now take you to Manas National Park, where I carried out my research on these elusive species. So Manas is one of India's richest biodiversity landscape and provides excellent habitat for clouded leopards. What makes this park ecologically unique is its strategic location. It lies at the junction of the Indo-Gangetic, Indo-Malayan, and Indo-Bhutan biogeographic zones. It is also connected to Royal Manas National Park in Bhutan, and which creates a transboundary landscape. So together, these forests form one of the largest continuous habitat for clouded leopards in the region. So because clouded leopards are so elusive, we relied mainly on camera trapping to study them over 3 years. We surveyed the park using 1 square kilometer grid and deployed approximately more than 450 camera locations. And this gave us a systematic and non-invasive way to monitor wildlife across the landscape. However, the cameras were not placed randomly. We selected locations based on animal signs such as pug marks, scats, claw marks, scrap marks, trails, kills, as well as frequently used trails. And these signs help us identify wildlife movement routes, increasing the chances of photographing clouded leopard and other wildlife. Installing camera traps in tropic forest is not that easy. Each cameras were securely fixed to a tree and protected with a metal security cage. And this was necessary because elephants, rhinos, boars, and wild water buffaloes sometimes damage or knock down cameras. So these protective cages help us reduce equipment loss and which further ensure continuous long-term monitoring. However, even with these precautions, many cameras did not survive. As you can see in these images, some were crushed by elephants, knocked down, or simply went missing. And every damaged camera meant revisiting the site, replacing equipment, and sometimes starting all over again. And these are practical challenges of long-term research in tropical dense forest. So what did we achieve from all this effort? So over 11,000 trap nights, our cameras took more than 22,000 photos of mammals. And from these, we documented 34 mammal species, including 17 carnivores. And this became one of the largest camera trap databases from Manas National Park and provided a strong foundation for understanding its overall carnivore community. So besides clouded leopards, let's take a look at some of the large carnivores captured on our cameras. Here you can see tigers, including tigers, tigress with cubs, leopards, including melanistic one, Asiatic black bears, dholes, and of course clouded leopard. This allowed us to study how these predators coexist within the same landscape. Among the small carnivores, we recorded several fascinating species such as leopard cat, jungle cat, yellow-throated marten, smooth-coated otter, Chinese pangolin, ferret buzzard, and several species of mongooses and civets. So once we obtained photographs of clouded leopards, the next step was to identify individual animals. So just as tigers and leopards can be identified by stripes and spot patterns, every clouded leopard has a unique cloud-shaped coat pattern, and which is generally similar to the human fingerprint. So for example, on the left, you can see different individuals. Their markings don't match, while on the right side, those are images of the same individual and with same marking and photo captured at different times as well as different locations. So using photographic recapture analysis, we identified 12 individual clouded leopards and estimated a density of 1.73 individuals per 100 square kilometer, and which provided one of the most comprehensive density estimates for clouded leopards in India. So we then examined when clouded leopards were active. Their activity overlapped considerably with tigers, leopards, and Asiatic black bears, and especially during night hours. And this raised an interesting ecological question. If they are active at the same time, how do they avoid competition? So the answer appears to lie in how they use space. Unlike other large carnivores, clouded leopards spend much more time in the forest canopy. They are exceptional climbers, capable of moving, resting, and even hunting in trees. And by using these vertical space, they reduce direct encounters with other predators on the ground. So this vertical partitioning allows multiple carnivores to coexist within the same forest. And finally, our habitat models reveal well-crowded leopards are most likely to occur. So They showed a strong preference for dense canopy cover, healthy vegetation, and areas with abundant small prey. So rather than competing directly with large carnivores, they selected habitats where competition was lower and resources were readily available. And these findings not only improve our understanding of clouded leopard ecology, but also help identify priority habitats for conservation and management. So everything I have shown so far is not unique to Manas. Similar findings have emerged from studies across the clouded leopards range. So together, these studies have greatly improved our understanding of the species, mainly its ecology, habitat requirements, and conservation needs. And this growing body of scientific evidence laid the foundation for developing India's first conservation action plan for the clouded leopard. In other words, the research did not end with only publications. It directly informed conservation planning. So the vision of the Conservation Action Plan is very simple: to secure and sustain viable connected population of clouded leopards across India. So to achieve this, the plan is built around mainly 9 strategic themes. These include protecting and restoring habitats to safeguard critical forest, then maintaining landscape connectivity to allow movement and gene flow, strengthening research and monitoring to fill data gaps, climate change adaptation, community engagement, reducing poaching and hunting, policy and legal integration, building capacity for frontline staff as well as institutions, and lastly, awareness and education to public to mainly build wider public support. And together, these themes provide a comprehensive roadmap for the long-term conservation of clouded leopards. So rather than focusing only on individual protected areas, the action plan mainly adopts a landscape approach. So we mainly identified 14 priority conservation landscapes across Northeast India as well as Eastern Himalaya. And these landscapes were selected based on habitat quality, connectivity, clouded leopards record, as well as long-term conservation importance. And many of these landscapes extend across international borders, and which makes transboundary conservation equally important. So rather than going briefly, rather than going through all of these 14 landscapes individually, I will briefly highlight some of the key conservation priorities identified across these regions. So let's begin with the first 2 priority landscapes in Sikkim, northern West Bengal, and Assam. And these landscapes are transboundary, connected with Nepal and Bhutan, and which makes international collaboration essential. So the major priorities here are restoring degraded habitats, strengthening forest corridors, maintaining landscape connectivity, improving climate resilience, and reducing poaching and hunting. Moving east, we come to Arunachal Pradesh and Eastern Assam. So the key priorities here are protecting these intact forests, maintaining connectivity, reducing fragmentation from roads, mining, and other developments, and strengthening community participation in conservation. The next group of landscapes cover Assam and Meghalaya. Here, the focus is on maintaining forest connectivity across fragmented landscapes while reducing hunting pressures and restoring degraded rainforest habitats. Because many of these forests lie outside protected areas, working with local communities is essential for their long-term conservation. The final group covers Mizoram and Tripura, and these landscapes are closely connected with Myanmar as well as Bangladesh, and which makes transboundary conservation especially important. So the action plan focuses on protecting bamboo and evergreen forests, strengthening community participation, and enhancing ex-situ conservation efforts. So together, these 14 landscapes provide a coordinated roadmap for conserving the species across its entire range in India. So once the priority landscapes and conservation actions were identified, the next question was how to implement them. So the action plan therefore provides a clear implementation framework, like for each strategic theme, such as monitoring research, habitat protection, and restoration, landscape connectivity. So for each theme, it defines priorities, timelines, measurable indicators of success, monitoring mechanism, and the agencies responsible for implementation. So in other words, this is not just a vision document. It is a practical roadmap that translates recommendations into coordinated conservation action on the ground. So of course, having an implementation plan is only the first step. We also need to know whether these actions are delivering the desired outcomes or not. So that's why the action plan includes a monitoring and evaluation framework with measurable indicators, regular review timelines, and clear reporting responsibilities. And this allows progress to be tracked, lessons to be incorporated, and conservation strategies to be adopted over time and based on scientific. All of these should be based on scientific evidence and field experiences. So at the end, to conclude, clouded leopard remains one of Asia's least understood wildcats, but every study brings us closer to understanding and conserving this remarkable species. So our research shows that science alone is not enough. Lasting conservation requires protecting forest, maintaining landscape connectivity, reducing threats, and working together with local communities is very important. And by combining scientific research with collaborative conservation action, we can help secure the future of clouded leopards across the range. Finally, I would like to sincerely thank the state forest departments, local communities, my supervisors, collaborators, and especially the dedicated field staff and frontline forest personnel whose support, knowledge, and commitment made this work possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ujit, for giving us such a detailed insight into the work that you have undertaken in the project landscapes and the information and the challenges that have, come out of your camera trapping and the other activities. This is a very detailed report, and we have, like Dr. Mathur mentioned, we have recently published this during the National Biodiversity Committee meeting. With that, I would now like to invite our next speaker, Dr. Langten Dorji. Dr. Langten Dorji is a senior forestry officer with the Nature Conservation Division, Department of Forest and Park Services, Bhutan. He holds a PhD in biological sciences and has made significant contributions to wildlife research and conservation in the Himalayan region. His research focuses on mammal movement ecology and population dynamics of wildcats and their prey in Bhutan, and provides valuable insight into the conservation of these elusive carnivores. He has also led projects which aimed at mitigating human-wildlife interactions and helped develop science-based strategies which promote coexistence between people and wildlife. Beyond wildcat conservation, he has also conducted research on movement behavior of riverine fishes in Bhutan, reflecting his broader expertise in ecological studies. He is also an experienced trainer in wildlife statistics and research design, having built the capacity for conservation professionals and researchers in quantitative ecological methods. His professional interests include camera trapping, GPS collaring, movement ecology, advanced ecological research, and this makes him one of the leading wildlife scientists in the region. So with that, over to you, Dr. Langten.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Shi, for that wonderful introduction, though I don't think I deserve that much level of introduction. So I will briefly talk about the conservation of clouded leopard in Bhutan, though as said by every speaker, clouded leopard and other smaller cats are little focus compared to the other big cats that we focus on the conservation. So based on this, I would like to show a small presentation on the status of clouded leopard in Bhutan and how we are conserving this small cat species in Bhutan. So this is based on the past studies conducted by my office and my colleagues. So it was all based on the bycatch data from the National Tiger Survey, National Snow Leopard Survey, and other similar kind of survey. So I will begin my talk with showing this small short presentation on clouded leopard. So please let me know if you are able to see my presentation.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay, thank you. So let me talk briefly about the clouded leopard in Bhutan. So nothing much specific project focused on clouded leopard is been implemented in Bhutan as of now. And same goes with other small cat species Our main focus currently is on the larger mammal like tiger, elephant, snow leopard, then the as you introduced the riverine fishes and all, which so this presentation is based on the studies conducted by my friend Ugen Penjor from the Nation White Tiger Survey conducted in 2014 and 15. And so I would also like to present based on the Nationwide Tiger Survey from 2021 and 22. So those bycatch data and how we know about the clouded leopard status distribution in Bhutan. While saying that, currently I'm implementing a small project on the small cats in Bhutan. It's called Bhutan Wild Cat Health Project, funded by Affiliate Conservation Fund USA. So we are currently looking on the distribution of uh, all the cats, including the small cats, in 4 protected areas in Bhutan, and then we are looking at the health of those cats, like the disease prevalence through studying the scat analysis and looking at the microbiomes of from those cats and what are the prevailing disease present in those small cat species as well as our larger cat species in Bhutan. And so this is one of the ongoing project on small cat species in Bhutan, though it includes tiger and snow leopard and common leopard. So as you all know that clouded leopard is listed as Appendix 1 of CITES. And similarly in Bhutan, our recently amended Forest and Nature Conservation Act of Bhutan 2023 warrants it as a Schedule 1 species. Schedule 1 species is totally protected species, and it's the protection level is similar to that given to tiger and the other endangered species like so sorry. Mm. Then roughly like from those subsequent national surveys and all, we so sorry, I'm receiving call repeatedly from my chief.
Saying something.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So sorry, I just received a repeated call from my chief, so I was just replying. So mm, uh, roughly from those subsequent survey, we have a rough estimate around 203 numbers of clouded leopard in Bhutan. But these are, as I said before, not a systematic study focused on clouded leopard, but it was based on the National White Tiger Survey, Snow Leopard Survey, then some regional biodiversity monitoring conducted by our different forest officers in Bhutan. And we have recorded clouded leopard till now from around 200 meter above sea level till 3,600 meter above sea level in snow-capped mountains also. So when the rough first estimate was conducted in 2018 by my friend from the Nationwide Tiger Survey from 2000, which was conducted in 2004, 14 and 15. So though I said that there is no specific project focus on the clouded leopard, but as Bhutan being a Buddhist country and environmentally sensitive country, we follow a faith-based conservation approach also, and also a scientific conservation approach. But the conservation of large case, including a clouded leopard, is deeply ingrained into our cultural and faith-based system, and the like our Buddhist and Buddhist principle of living in harmony with nature and coexisting with nature is seen everywhere in Bhutan, depicted in our cultural scriptures, cultures, sculptures, and all. So, and also like clouded leopard is considered by our Buddhist communities traditionally as one of the top most cat in Bhutan. Though I don't know how scientifically it's true. Like we have a saying called Tagitali Gung, which means above tiger there is a gung. Gung is a clouded leopard. So that's kind of saying which Buddhists have for hundreds of years, and I don't know how they have said that clouded leopard is above the tiger, but still in our culture we think that by the like power as well as force, clouded leopard holds like a higher place above the tiger. So in that way, in Bhutan we have like a deep culture reverence and deep culture like faith-based conservation for this species, including clouded leopard. And our country's national development philosophy of cross-national happiness also enable like conservation of holistic conservation of species, not only focus on the tiger or uh, some other charismatic animals, so that overall encompasses conservation of clouded leopard as well. So the evidence base, as I said, that we focus on faith base as well as evidence base. So while coming to evidence base, like though we have recorded clouded leopard from past other surveys before the first systematic nationwide tiger survey, but however, the systematically we have observed like studied clouded leopard from bycatch data of our national wide tiger survey, which was first conducted using camera trap in 2014 and 15. So we had around 1,000, more than 1,000 camera traps laid across 5 by 5 kilometer grid in Bhutan. So then around 60,000 trap nights over cumulative trap night. And in 2014 and 15, we have recorded around 114 incidences of clouded leopard, like 114 stations out of those 1,129 recorded clouded leopard. Whereas in 2021 to 2022 nationwide survey, we have like kind of increased record of clouded leopard, like 129 station recorded clouded leopard. And similarly, when we look at the individual through image comparison, in the earlier survey, 19 individuals, and the later survey, 23 individuals. But these are very small compared to what we study focus on the clouded leopard, because clouded leopard, as you know, has a smaller home range compared to that of tiger, and this data was from tiger. So in my PhD program, I have studied in the smaller landscape in Jimmy-Sengewonsh National Park and Royal Manas National Park, around 400 square kilometer. In that itself, there was around 21 individuals of clouded leopard within that 400 kilometer square. So I think that what we get from nationwide survey, which is solely focused on tiger with the higher, like a larger camera placement, the larger grid gets like a lesser number of clouded leopard, and then those cameras are specifically put across the tiger trials, and also in that way there may be a bias in the estimate which we get using the bycatch data. So this was evident, like even looking at the small portion, we could get a 21 individual of clouded leopard. Okay. So let me talk about the small systematic study that my friend has done, like for using the 2014 and 15 data. So in that, he has estimated around 80 individual of clouded leopard in Bhutan, though spread across like a potential range of around 20,500 kilometers square of the country's area. And he has also looked at the occupancy of clouded leopards across the Bhutan using those bycatch data, and which was the occupancy was mostly higher towards the southern foothills, and then the some pocketed area of the central and the eastern part of Bhutan. So which was mostly impacted positively correlated by elevation, forest cover, and then the nearest to the distance. When like the distance near to the water bodies. So as I said before, like southern part of Bhutan has a higher occupancy of the clouded leopard, particularly in national parks like Royal Manas National Park, then Jimmy-Sengewonsh National Park, Chomosangha Wildlife Sanctuary, Phipsi Wildlife Sanctuary. Though there is also a smaller distribution of potential sites of clouded leopard in south central region of Bhutan, as well as some west central part of Bhutan. So one of the major challenges that we found from those studies for the conservation of clouded leopard in Bhutan is like habitat loss, like through the developmental activities like construction of road, then other like diversion of forests to the other developmental purposes, and also the poaching. Like we have a few incidents of clouded leopard poaching in Bhutan. Sorry. Then of course, like this species is less studied compared to the other big cat species, and there is less focus on the project as well as the other conservation activities rarely focused on clouded leopard. So I think it's a very like commendable job for the Global Tiger Forum for not only focusing on the tiger and the other large cat, also focusing on the smaller predators and the smaller cats. So in that way, we can focus on conservation of this lesser known species like clouded leopard, so that we can strengthen the data capacity not only in the India but also regionally like Nepal, Bhutan, and other clouded leopard range countries, so that we have a systematic data then rather than using those bycatch data for coming up with occupancy or density estimate and then looking at the threat. Then, of course, one of the pressing issues is climate change and like habitat fragmentation caused by climate change. Then the species change in the species composition over the time. So these are some of the threat in Bhutan. So though having said that about a lot of threat about the clouded leopard, but one of the enabling features of Bhutan for such kind of species is like we have a 60% forest cover mandate by our constitution. Then we have around 52% of our country's land mass protected as a protected area that comprises of 5 national park, then 4 wildlife sanctuary, 1 strict nature reserve, and then the 9 biological corridors which connects those individual parks and wildlife sanctuaries. So this enable kind of a free gene flow and also like species persistence. So these are some of our hope and aspiration for the continuity of the survival of this species. And of course, the enabling policies and the backup by our law, like Forest and Nature Conservation Act of Bhutan, which still considers clouded leopard as a Schedule 1 species. So in that way, we have these are the some of our hope for the future of conservation of this species. And of course, like today's kind of meeting, the shared responsibility across the borders, like to monitor. Everyone was earlier speaking about the kind of a building a cross border as well as a regional database of clouded leopard and all. Then also to protect our forestry system, like forest cover beyond the protected area system, because we have a lot of evidence of tiger as well as clouded leopard in the those managed forest area, what we call here in Bhutan, which is outside the protected area regime. So we also need to protect those prime forest area, outside protected area that can support the clouded leopard, and also working like a cross border on the conservation of clouded leopard, like working with the Manas landscape in Bhutan, then Nepal, and the India has also shared some habitat like Duduwa National Park and Jitwan, something like that. So in that way, we can do some cross-border meeting. Though I should thank GTF for allowing last kind of a cross-border that kind of meeting last time, or which was mainly focused on the small cats in small wild cats. So this kind of meeting should be there, as well as data sharing, then kind of collaborative surveys and all. So of course, like in Bhutan, we always anchor our conservation ethos to our cultural beliefs and the faith-based conservation, along with those scientific monitoring. So this is it from my side. So thank you all for listening to me. So
Yes.
this is photo from National Tiger Survey. This clouded leopard was recorded in the high altitude area of Bhutan. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bhupen. That's a beautiful photo and for a very informative presentation, and for also shedding light on the collaborative work that we should be looking forward to. And as you mentioned, it's very imperative that we look at these species movements beyond borders and focus on their characteristics and behaviors across neighboring countries. Okay, so thank you for your presentation. With that, I would now like to invite our next speaker for today, Dr. Yadav Gimre. Dr. Gimre is a conservation biologist from Nepal with nearly 2 decades of experience in research and conservation. His focus is also on mammalian ecology, carnivore conservation, and human-wildlife interactions, with a strong commitment to advancing science-based conservation across the Himalayan region. He holds a PhD in wildlife ecology from the University of Florida, where his research examined phenology and mammalian community dynamics in the boreal forests of Canada's Yukon Territory, providing valuable insights into ecosystem processes and wildlife responses to environmental change. He is an active member of both the IUCN Cat Specialist Group and the IUCN Small Carnivore Specialist Group, contributing to species status assessments and conservation planning for wildcats and other carnivores at the global level. He is currently working with Friends of Nature, where he leads and supports research and conservation initiatives focused on voles, clouded leopards, owls, and other wildlife in Nepal. His work integrates ecological research, conservation planning, and collaborative partnerships to promote the long-term conservation of biodiversity. With that, I request you all to welcome Dr. Kiran.
Thank you, Shresi, for a very nice introduction, and thank you, Global Tiger Forum, for inviting and providing this opportunity to share some of my experience and knowledge on clouded leopards. So let me share my slides. I hope the screen is visible.
Yes, your screen is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Again, thank you. So I'll move ahead with my slide. Before I start talking about clouded leopard and how they are doing in Nepal, I would like to just share a kind of experience. This was it's about identity. This is me when I started my wildlife research in Makalu Barun National Park in Eastern Himalayas. So we were looking for clouded leopards in the forests. We put some camera traps, hoping we'll get some pictures, but we didn't get any. So one friend from village, he talked about a pelt his father collected, and then I rushed in to check, and it was a clouded leopard pelt. So it was kind of a mixed feeling. I was happy that clouded leopard were there, but I was also unsure if they are still there. So it was kind of a mixed feeling. And this passion about clouded leopard research and conservation has lived with me after that. And so much so that people started calling me like clouded leopard sir, or something like that. So and in 2017 I had a son. So this is his picture, and I posted his picture in Facebook, as many of us do. And the comments, they were amazing. Like every friend of mine, colleagues, they were congratulating, like saying junior clouded leopard, junior Dhuanse Chitua, which is a vernacular name for clouded leopard. So with this, I'd like to move ahead with my presentation. So clouded leopard and Nepal share a kind of a history together, because the first type specimen of clouded leopard was collected by Brian Houghton Hodgson, who was the acting resident of British Empire in Nepal. So he did this in the 1840s. What he used to do was he used to befriend a lot of local hunters, and he used to give some money or some other stuff and tell them to bring pelts or any other specimen to them. So he used to draw all the specimen pictures based on those pelts and dead specimens and taxidermy stuff and things like that. So he described it first as Felis macrocelloides. Now we know this as a cat from Neophilis genus. We have the mainland clouded leopard, which is called Neophilis nebulosa. The type locality that Brian Hodgson got this specimen from is unknown right now. We don't know from where did he collect, but probably it should be hills around Kathmandu or not very far from it. So this slide is, I was a little bit confused because I thought many of us would put this slide, but still I did it. It's a general intro on clouded leopards. We know it's a medium-sized felid. It weighs somewhere between 12 to 25 kgs. It inhabits primary and secondary forests in tropical Asia. Primarily feeds on small deers, monkeys, and wild pigs. It's predominantly an arboreal species. It can move, rest, and even hunts, as a colleague presented earlier. So it can hunt on trees. There are videos of clouded leopard hunting lorises in trees, hanging on to a small twig. So yeah, it's a great species, amazing arboreality and amazing agility. So, but sadly, they have lost a lot of their historical range. So the red part that you see here, it's all probably the extinct, the geographical range from where the species has been decimated. The yellow ones are the one where we know that they exist, and the one with the stripe are the one that where they are still there. So, but a lot of geographical range has been lost. So it's a tricky situation. As a friend of mine earlier, he also sowed this phylogenetic tree on clouded leopard. So they are phylogenetically very different from the rest of the cats. It is the earliest, it is the species that first diverged from the common ancestors of Pantheridae. And it is also known for its longest canine to body size ratio, which gives which kind of which makes people remember the saber-toothed tigers. And it has a specific feature that where its hind ankle rotates 180 degrees, providing it an ability to even climb down head first. So these are some of the unique features of clouded leopard. So in Nepal, after Brian Hodgson described it, there was a long period of silence between 1850 and in 1980s. There was no research, and probably Nepal was under an authoritarian regime, and the science was not as developed, and there were not many naturalists during that time. So this was a period of silence. We didn't know whether clouded leopard existed or not, and to the point that we thought clouded leopards were deemed extinct. But there were some sightings in the mountains of Nepal and probably in the Chitwans as well. So the National Park and Wildlife Conservation Act that was passed in 1973, it provided a priority protection for clouded leopard. So after the national park, the first establishment, the first national park, Chitwan National Park in 1973, there was a period of silence up to early 2000s, and then people started doing surveys for clouded leopards. So, but there were a lot of disappointments earlier. So there was a survey in Langtang with just 3 camera traps. So yeah, we can guess that isn't a lot of effort that would result in a clouded leopard. You need to be very lucky with to get clouded leopard pictures with 3 camera traps. The Makalubar National Park, I was doing that survey. We used 21 camera traps for 3 months during 2009 and 2010. We didn't get any in the camera traps, but got a pelt in the village. There was also short survey in Kanchenjunga Conservation Area, which borders with Sikkim in India. And there was also no record of clouded leopards. And during this time, there was a national red list assessment in in Nepal as well. So this was done in 2010, and there was a population guesstimation. I wouldn't say estimation because we didn't have any studies back then. So, but we, together with other wildlife researchers and nature guides and everybody, sit together and came up with a number that could be that can be realistic, and that can also act as a baseline for the study. So we came up with numbers which is around 100 or probably little less than 100, and we also came up with categorized is as nationally endangered, and trend was decided to be decreasing. So during 2010s, after the National Red List of Mammals, there were a couple of breakthroughs in the record of clouded leopard. It was first recorded in Sivapuri Nagarjun National Park, which is just north of Kathmandu, but it was published a little later. And the clouded leopard in Annapurna Conservation Area, which you can see on the right, I was involved in that study that we did in 2012. So these were some of the breakthroughs that kind of provided a springboard for other research as well. And then in 2013, there was a study in Chitwan, which provided a record of 3 distinct individuals, and it shared its habitat with other 5 cat species, which was encouraging to know. But the detection and the recaptures were so few that there was no estimation of its either occupancy or abundance of the species. Same thing occurred with Langtang. There was a survey in 2015 and 16 in Langtang National Park, which is just north of Kathmandu. There were 80 camera traps in total, 160 camera traps and 80 trap stations, 2 camera traps on either side of the trails. There were 5 independent, 3 individuals identified. Nave occupancy was 8%, and the estimated occupancy after correcting for detection probability, it was 10%. So it was very little. The authors, they extrapolated the population over the entire national park of Langtang, and they came up with the figure of 40 individuals. And they also documented in the high mountains as high as 3,500 meters, which was kind of new because all previous literatures, they mentioned clouded leopard as not occurring above 2,500 meters. So that was a new thing that came out of this study. Then we did a survey in 2016 and 17 in Annapurna Conservation Area, which is the largest protected area in Nepal. In that survey, also the repeated captures were rare. Just 1 camera trap station had repeated captures. Other 2 only had 1 capture. So we were unable to estimate either occupancy or abundance, but we had the nave occupancy of 6% for clouded leopards. We identified 3 individuals, potentially 4, because 3 were on the same flank, right flank, and 1 was on the left flank. So we couldn't figure out whether the individuals having the left flank was one of the three individuals or the different individuals. So we would say three individuals, but potentially four. We projected when we projected this number to the entire suitable habitat. So it came out to be around 24 individuals, but this is just extrapolation and not estimation. And then there were some studies in Makalu Barun National Park too. This is from a personal communication. I know that they have a decent population, but complete information is unavailable because of some issues of sharing the data right now. So there were some incidents when clouded leopards, we recognize clouded leopard as a species which is very shy and doesn't come into contact with humans. This is not a general norm, but there were some incidents where two individuals came in Kathmandu, like the proper prime Kathmandu, and they were put in a zoo. There were two individuals in a zoo which were trapped from Kathmandu, prime Kathmandu area, and there was issues of two individuals in the lowland in Nepal, eastern lowland Nepal, which is close to the West Bengal of India, where the clouded leopard, it came for the domesticated pig, and it was captured by people and put it into captivity. So there are still some instances where they come close to human settlement or even prey on livestock. So we have got some recent updates. There's a occurrence record from Peeper Pheasant Reserve, which is also in Annapurna Conservation Area, but further west of where we are working. So probably this is the westernmost record yet. I'm not sure, but it could be. There's a record from a district called Putan. You can see Putan district here, which we work here. So it is further nearly 100 kilometers west of where we are working. So probably this could be the westernmost record, but the problem is this was recorded from a guy who was carrying a pelt and who was nabbed in this Dang district, which is connected to a Sohelwa National Forest or something in India. So it is a transboundary area. And the guy who was nabbed with the clouded leopard pelt in Dang district, he said that he got the pelt from Bhutan district. So, but we couldn't get further information than that. So it is still just a guess. And recently we had the breeding record from Lamjung district in central Nepal, which is here, Lamjung district. So this was really nice development. We didn't have confirmed breeding record of clouded leopard before. So in 2024, during camera trapping by an organization called NCSE, they got the clouded leopard with its two pups, which I'll play a little bit later, the video. So till now, when we compile the occurrence record, these are the ones that are that we got from camera traps. So these are the records. Within this point, there could be close by other locations as well, but broadly, these are the locations that we know that clouded leopards are there. We also have evidence of illegal trade, which we published a short paper on Journal of Threatened Taxa in 2020. So in some years, most of the years, it's one or two in 1 year. 2017, 19, it was like 7 pelts nabbed from poachers, which was for an animal which is around 100 to 200 individuals in the country. 7 pelts is pretty high in 1 year. So this is not significant if the population is very large, but we have very small population. So the evidence of illegal trade it's unfortunate. So we did some based on the locations that we have, we did some Maxent modeling, which provided us a suitable habitat of 11,794 kilometers square. And it also showed that 72% of those habitat are outside protected areas, which is a big concern. And most of the habitats are in the middle mountain and hilly regions, which is not overlapped with a lot of protected areas. So that makes it even worse. And we found that the forest cover found as important variable predicting distribution, which is we can think about it because it likes big trees and canopy. So forest cover would definitely predict its distribution. I ran an activity pattern, and it's unsurprising. We know that cloudy leopard is mostly nocturnal or crepuscular kind of animal. So the activity pattern that I came up with just reaffirms that belief. And there are threats. A lot of friends have talked about threats already. So habitat loss and fragmentation is a big threat. Right now, there's a surge in a lot of like hydropower projects in areas in the mountain rivers, which has to be reached through access road, which fragments its habitat, and this makes it even worse. And then there's illegal trade, as I discussed earlier, human wildlife conflict, and as some of my friends earlier said, that lack of enough data because the species itself is very secret. We monitoring it is very difficult, and without continuous regular monitoring, we will not get enough data for us to decide how what will be the effective means of conserving the species. Despite this, we are doing some conservation work, mostly sensitizing students, celebrating Cloudy Leopard Day, doing art and poem competitions, face painting, awareness camps, and things like that, doing habitat visit for students to understand what are the threats, what kind of habitat they reside in. Also orientation of students in camera trapping, how to do camera trap so that they get interested and maybe they carry on studying cloudy leopard themselves. And also we recently established a tourism information center in a place called Tangting, where we have put a different section of clouded leopard ecology, where tourists and even the general people, they can go and understand about clouded leopard. We also do a lot of habitat patrolling to assess habitat threats, and we have established something called clouded leopard envoys, who are citizen scientists and conservators. We provide them with equipment and other support so that they can monitor clouded leopards in their habitat. Training young university students in wildlife research techniques. We have been doing this since 2012. This was not focusing just on clouded leopard, but overall wildlife, but this has contributed a lot in capacity building. And we talked with local governments in Madi rural municipality, which has declared clouded leopard as their emblematic mammal, which provide a springboard for us and other local people to contribute to clouded leopard conservation. In Nepal, I would see, because as we saw clouded leopard records in earlier slide, we saw that there's a big gap in clouded leopard records locations. So we need more camera trapping efforts, especially in the middle hills. And based on those locations, maybe we can do some connectivity studies to identify corridors and even a good habitat. Facilitate making more citizen scientists. And what I have noticed is I have been contacted by a lot of tour operators, wildlife tour operators, about clouded leopard. So I have been to clouded leopard habitat twice with these people who want to watch mainland clouded leopards in their natural habitat, which is not easy. But if we can somehow figure out a site or two where we can have a realistic chance of seeing a clouded leopard, then that would contribute in a great deal to the local people in their livelihoods. And I think the broad synthesis is required that can act as a springboard for a national level conservation plan in Nepal. These are the one, and this is the video I wanted to play. This is the first breeding record in Nepal. Let's play this. Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. I'd like to thank all friends who provided me with information and data, and for the funders who helped support our study. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gimre. That was such a lovely video that you showed us at the end, and also for sharing such your your experiences, and which were in a way pioneering for clouded leopard studies and investigations. For us in India, we do not have any records of clouded leopard as far as Dudhwa landscape, but looking as to how closely connected it is to Dang and the other districts where there have been records of the cat, maybe they are potential habitats, and that's something we can look into exploring through collaborative research. So thank you so much for sharing your presentation.
Yeah.
With that, I would like to now invite our final speaker for today's webinar session, Mr. Muhammad Rufino from Malaysia. He will be presenting the temporal activity pattern of the clouded leopard in relation to potential predators and prey. Mr. Rufino is currently the principal assistant director of the Department of Wildlife and National Parks, and is a dedicated wildlife conservation professional for nearly 2 decades, protecting Malaysia's natural heritage. Since 2007, he has served as a wildlife officer with the Department of Wildlife and National Parks, Periliton, and currently heads the Malayan Tiger and Prey Conservation Section within the Wildlife Conservation Division at Periliton headquarters. He has gained extensive experience in field operations, human wildlife conflict management, protected area management, and wildlife law enforcement. His leadership positions have included serving as the Deputy Superintendent of Tamang Negara Pahang, Head of the Periliton CLIAP Office, Head of the Wildlife Conflict Management Section, Periliton Pahang, and Head of the Wildlife Crime Unit at Periliton Headquarters. Drawing on this diverse operational and leadership experience, he now contributes to strategic national efforts to conserve the highly endangered Malayan tiger, its prey, and the ecosystems on which they depend. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Rufino. Thank you.
Thank you, Shreyashi, for the introduction. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this International Clouded Leopard Day 2026 webinar. Today, I am excited to share the findings of a pivotal study conducted by the Department of Wildlife and National Parks Peninsular Malaysia, or Perilitan. We set out to investigate the cryptic lives of one of Southeast Asia's most elusive predators, which is the mainland clouded leopard. Specifically, we analyzed its temporal activity patterns in the Tembat Forest Reserve Complex, which is in the state of Terengganu. And our goal was to understand how this vulnerable carnivore adjusts its daily active hours to coexist with other sympatric competitors and ensure its access to key prey species. Let us take a look at how this magnificent cloud pattern cat navigates the challenges of survival in the rainforests of Terengganu. Peninsular Malaysia is a remarkable biodiversity hotspot, home to 7 species of wildcats spanning 5 distinct genera. These range from the majestic Malayan tiger down to the smaller, highly specialized flat-headed cat. Yet, historically, wildlife research in this region has heavily prioritized the highly charismatic Malayan tiger, leaving our smaller, more cryptic wildcats with far less scientific attention. The clouded leopard is currently listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List and near threatened within Peninsular Malaysia. Because they occur in low densities, exhibit wide-ranging movements, and spend significant time active at night, studying them has always been a great challenge. Understanding their fine-scale temporal behavior is crucial if we hope to design effective regional conservation strategies. Now, to study this species, our team focused on the Tembat Forest Reserve Complex. This is the largest forest reserve in the state of Terengganu, encompassing an impressive expanse of over 133,000 hectares. Geographically, it is a highly diverse landscape. The northern sector is dominated by lowland dipterocarp forests, sitting at elevations between 100 and 300 meters. And as you move south, the terrain rises into rugged hilly forests, ranging from 300 up to 600 meters, irrigated by 2 major river systems, which are the Terengganu and Tembat rivers. This massive contiguous forest ecosystem stretches all the way up to Gunung Tembat at 965 meters, making it a critical stronghold for Malaysian wildlife. To peer into this dense wilderness, we deployed camera traps between March and October of 2017. We set up a total of 222 units of Reconyx HC500 infrared digital cameras across 111 randomly selected stations. At each station, cameras were mounted in pairs, spaced 7 to 10 meters apart, and positioned along active wildlife trails to maximize our chances of capturing the cats. We placed the cameras at a height of approximately 50 centimeters off the ground. While this height is standard for tiger monitoring, it is also highly effective for detecting clouded leopards, who are known to regularly utilize the forest floor for movement. Stations were spaced 1.5 to 4 kilometers apart to maintain strong spatial independence. A critical step in camera trap data analysis is avoiding duplicate counts of the same individual, known as pseudo-replication. Therefore, we applied a rigorous 60-minute independence criterion, where any photos of the same species taken at the same station within 60 minutes of each other were excluded. Once the 6-month field session concluded, we processed our photographic data using DigiCam for species identification, followed by the CamTrap-R package in R software to model activity curves. For temporal classification, we define nocturnal activity as any capture between 7 in the evening and 7 in the morning, and diurnal activity as any capture between 7 in the morning and 7 in the evening. Our systematic effort yielded a robust dataset of 180 independent clouded leopard photographs. The temporal results were striking. 78% of all clouded leopard detections occurred during the night, while only 22% occurred during the day. This clearly classifies the clouded leopard in Tembat as predominantly nocturnal. Now, looking at the hourly density, we identified 2 very distinct peaks of high activity. The first peak occurs in the late night and early morning hours between 3 and 8 in the morning. The second peak occurs in the late evening from 8 to midnight. Conversely, their ground activity drops to its absolute lowest lull during the middle of the day between 9 in the morning and noon. So why is the clouded leopard so strictly nocturnal in Tembat? To answer this, we analyzed their activity against potential competitors. Because tigers were completely absent from detections during our study, it altered the predator-gull composition. We therefore focus on the leopard or Panthera pardus as the dominant sympatric competitor in the area. When we overlaid their temporal curves, we observe a classic pattern of competitor avoidance. The leopard's activity peaked sharply in the morning between 7 and 9, and again in the late afternoon between 5 and 7. Exactly when the leopard's activity spiked, the clouded leopard activity fell to its lowest points. This suggests that clouded leopards dynamically shift their active hours to avoid direct encounters with their larger, more dominant competitor. While avoiding larger predator is essential, a carnivore must also eat. We compared the clouded leopard's pattern to those of its most abundant potential prey, which is the bucking deer or Montiacus munjak. The bucking deer was our most frequently photographed species by a wide margin, yielding over 1,600 independent records. Their activity peaked in the morning between 7 and 9 and in the evening between 4 and 8. What is intriguing is the intersection of their temporal curves. The active hours of the clouded leopard overlap beautifully within the bucking deer during the twilight transition periods. This correlation perfectly illustrates the classic predator-prey dynamic, where the predator synchronizes its movement to intercept and exploit the vulnerability of its prey during low light transition phases. This brings us to what we call the timeline tightrope. The clouded leopard's schedule is not random. It is a calculated tightrope walk. It must synchronize the bucking deer's activity inside the green opportunity zones while strictly avoiding the red threat zones defined by the leopard's patrol hours. Our findings in Tembat highlight the incredible behavioral flexibility of the clouded leopard. When we compare Tembat to other regions across Southeast Asia, we see wildly different temporal behaviors. For instance, a past study in the nearby Temenggor Forest Reserve in the state of Perak found clouded leopards to be only partly nocturnal, peaking between 4 in the afternoon and 10 at night. In Sabah, the Sunda clouded leopard was found to be strictly nocturnal. However, other studies in Peninsular Malaysia have classified them as mostly diurnal or active during the day, or even catamaral, meaning active across the entire 24-hour cycle. This tells us that clouded leopards do not have a fixed biological clock. Instead, their activity pattern is highly flexible and shaped dynamically by local variations in predator and prey availability. In conclusion, our study demonstrates that the clouded leopards of Tembat Forest Reserve are predominantly nocturnal, a behavior strongly shaped by the need to avoid dominant leopard while remaining in sync with their bucking deer prey. These findings are more than just ecological curiosities. They have direct practical applications for conservation. By mapping these active peaks, we can design more effective camera trap surveys that operate 24 hours a day, optimize spatial strategies along animal trails, and ensure we monitor the entire predator-prey matrix holistically. Finally, understanding these temporal relationships, understanding when they move, is key to ensuring that Peninsular Malaysia's vulnerable wildcats continue to have a secure future in managed forest landscapes. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rufino. That was a very insightful information on the behavioral aspect of the clouded leopard, which is again not something that there has been a lot of research or information gathered on, and it's very interesting to see how you have been able to successfully record the shifts in the activity just because of the presence of the leopard in the same landscape, which is something very interesting and needs further studies and research. So with that, I would like to thank you for your very informative presentation, and we'll definitely try and keep this collaboration and to get to learn and share more data and information in the future. With that, we conclude our list of speakers for the webinar. And I would now like to invite Dr. Rajesh Gopal, Secretary General of the Global Tiger Forum, to give us the concluding remarks. While Dr. Gopal needs no introduction, for the uninitiated, he is a globally recognized conservation leader, renowned for his decades of experience in wildlife management and notably in the tiger turnaround in India. He has been an instrumental part of institutions such as the NTCA and the Crime Control Bureau, and introduced technological advancements, including year-round tiger monitoring, e-surveillance, and the establishment of a national repository for tiger photo databases. During his tenure at the helm of NTCA, he spearheaded many transformative changes, adopting double sampling methods using camera traps for countrywide tiger assessments, revising national legislation to include dedicated provisions for tiger conservation, and increasing the coverage of Project Tiger from 25 to 47 reserves. So these concerted efforts under Dr. Gopal's leadership have brought about a shift in paradigm in tiger conservation, resulting in strengthened exclusive tiger agenda for core areas and an inclusive approach in buffer zones and corridors to address human-tiger co-occurrence agenda. His contributions include authoring 3 books, publishing numerous research papers, and earning several awards and accolades, including the prestigious JN Fellowship. And working as the Secretary General of the Global Tiger Forum, he continues to advocate and strengthen conservation efforts across tiger range countries, working closely with international partners to secure the future of this iconic species. At present, he is also the chair of the Project Cheetah Steering Committee and the project manager for the small cats conservation efforts under the GEF UNDP MOFCC project. With that, I now invite Dr. Rajesh Gopal to please give us the concluding remarks for today's webinar.
Thank you. Thank you, Teresi. Thank you so much. And I compliment all the participants for this wonderful webinar. And I could learn a lot from great presentations done by Bhutan, Nepal, Malaysia, and of course, Wildlife Institute of India. That those insights are very precious and will add more to what little we know about this elusive small cat species. So thank you once again for those wonderful presentations. I must also compliment and place on record my deep appreciation for the Ministry of Environment and Forest Government of India, UNDP India, and my GPF team and the officers, the chief wildlife who are heading these the states, project states like Arunachal, Uttar Pradesh, and of course Rajasthan for their cooperation, and we could really pedal through this, and not many things are happening on the small cat front, and it's a first of its kind because in my long association with the forest department as a forester and then as a wildlifer, not much focus was there on these elusive species. Now coming to specifically this one, the clouded leopard, the presentations are very, very clear, it's an acrobat, born acrobat of the rainforest. So climbs up trees with the head up, descends with the head down, and then leaps between the branches. So many things are sort of an acrobat. Now, another important thing in this context is, when we talk of tiger or lion, or for that matter, any cat which is predominantly dwelling on the surface, there are two dimensions which come to us. The ground, whether broken or contiguous or whatever, and the forest which contribute to the habitat. Now, this particular species adds one more dimension, the vertical dimension. So therein lies its importance as an indicator. So it's all these insights which we are gaining from these research findings and others, the managerial insights which our managers bring to us and which we learn from them in detail are very important because there are quite a few things which this species tells us in the context of conservation. Now, since it's a dweller, tree dweller largely, and also comes down at times, but predominantly dwells in the jumps around the tree at various levels. So forest floor, shrubs, understory, middle canopy, upper canopy, and emerging trees. All those things, the entire architecture, canopy architecture spreading across different formation levels, they are important and sort of an indicator value the species gains. If they are in okay, the species is okay. You have the normal abundance. If they are not okay, something gone wrong somewhere, some gaps are there, then there is a decline in the species. So that way, it again, like the tiger, which is an indicator of the surface, ground condition, the forest and the habitat, their contiguity, this becomes an indicator of the canopy. So, and therefore, it's very important. Now, it's predator appropriating specific niches and a lot of useful insights, which appeared on the screen in the presentations. The circadian rhythms, and there was the one, the last presentation was very impressive, where the finding was it's plastic. It's very, I appreciate that. And also there are other important findings which emerge in other presentations. So regularly by appropriating the life forms which are arboreal, it maintains some kind of a balance like what a tiger does in the normal terrestrial habitat. So it's a symbol of intact forest that's there. And so whatever threatens the forest during this Anthropocene period, they need to be addressed. Now, where we are going to address them for conserving the species, I just come to that. And why should ordinary people care for this? It's an elusive thing, I mean, not seen readily, but then why should anyone bother at all for this species? We'll come to that. One more thing I would like to touch upon here. Even for the common man, you can even name this as a guardian of the forest canopy. There's no harm in doing that. We're all naturally, inherently, this particular species is present. You can brand it as the quiet ambassador of the rainforest or whatever you would like to call it, do so. Now, there are ecological dimensions, I reiterate again, and the species which we consider as sentinel species. Now, we are familiar with this word sentinel, but like a watchdog, it tells us and it reflects on something. For example, like horizontal landscape integrity, as is stated a few minutes back, tiger comes to our mind. Wherever tiger is there, then naturally, so it indicates if a good sustainable tiger population is there, it indicates connectivity, it indicates rabies, it indicates the ecological well-being, overall ecological well-being of the entire area, whether it's a poor area, whether it is beyond, whatever the landscape as such. So it becomes a great surrogate indicator. If the landscape is okay and the forests are okay, tiger is there, and the indication is seen in their relative abundance, which means you are getting gains to the biodiversity. They all are thriving, and also gains in the people. The people are getting gains from the ecosystem services. Lot many services are there, which you know, we know. So, I mean, they go unnoticed as freebies. Then, when you talk of vertical forest integrity, the clouded leopard is the sentinel because it tells you about the canopy continuity, the mature forest architecture, the arboreal biodiversity, and so on and so forth. Beautifully, you can classify the different layers area-wise and landscape-wise, and then you can make your prescriptions as a manager. Then, if you come to aquatic integrity, you have waters. Now they tell you healthy rivers, healthy wetlands, and so on and so forth. The aquatic food webs, then finally, not the least, but the grassland integrity. You have the great Indian bustard and other gramivores, open grasslands. If they are okay, you find their nests and eggs and all that. So many things are there. So, I mean, by its behavior, by its surrogacy value, we need to care for this. Going by those values, we need to care for this elusive and difficult species. Difficult because it's very difficult to spot it. And the timings, you see, because like what we learned a short while ago, it's very plastic, sometimes it's very fixed in some habitats, and so on. So we need to come out and standardize a canopy integrity index, CII, like what we do for the tiger opportunity surface. For these arboreal species, this is an excellent one, indicator species, to come out with a canopy integrity index. So all these findings, which are emerging from various quarters and also under the auspices of this project, ongoing project, will help us to give shape to this index. Now, there are a lot of threats coming to the governance part of it. What needs to be done? You find these animals wherever they are in their natural habitat, both where people live, both in areas which have the legitimate legal status of a park or a sanctuary and so on. So when it comes to park or sanctuary or anything which is having a legal protection, the investment happens there to protect the area. A lot of things, inputs are given there. So you can, all these things like forest fragmentation, other mining, road construction, these things don't happen there because of the protection, because of the law. You don't have any shifting land uses, no illegal logging, these are offenses. However, you do have poaching, you do have snaring, targeted, these are targeted species in areas where it is found. Then you have illegal wildlife trade, as we all know, linked with this. So we need to safeguard this through watch and ward and through standard operating procedures, even in those areas which have a park or a national sanctuary status, and also ground fire. They don't happen in these areas where this species is found because of the high rainfall, but because of the humus accumulation, at times small dry periods, fire may catch. So we need to protect it because man-made fires are not uncommon in those areas. And then coming lastly, but not the least, to areas which are outside the legal status of a park or a sanctuary, whatever. They are with the community and rights and concessions and easements, everything, things are allowed there. So you have to, they co-occur. And the vertical diversity and integrity of the architecture becomes important. So community stewardship is applicable here as well, as in the case of hornbills, as in the case of tigers. We have experience from different related to different species. So such agenda becomes important. So wrapping up, both exclusive and inclusive, co-occurrence agenda become important for a manager, and the conservation action should focus on these, give importance to these in a mutually complementary way based on the valuable insights which we are getting from different quarters, from different people, like who presented their findings today. Thank you so much and keep up the good work. And I look forward to hear more such great insights from our dear colleagues. All the best.
Thank you so much, sir. It's always a pleasure to hear you speak. So with that, we come to an end to our today's webinar. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude and thank you all for being a part of today's International Clouded Day Leopard. This live stream will be recorded and will be available on YouTube for people to watch in future. And yes, sir.
And I forgot, Monish told me to say this, but I just that skipped my mind. This is there are two things. One is we can facilitate, the GTF can facilitate a multi-country clouded leopard network. So I very much wish all these people, the research people who have given valuable insights today, they'll continue to do their work. We'll put them there, and then it will be an open-ended. Some other people who have done excel equally well may also form part of that, number one. Number two, what I would like to say is the project should lead us to give shape to a monograph. So all these things, so much as is happening all around, but they are scattered. We can put bits and pieces together and target the coming year, the same time as Leopard Day and all that. If we keep that as the target, maybe we'll be able to work within a definite timeline. We may try to bring out a monograph, a contribution from one and all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So just to concise, sir, just as sir mentioned, we are already in the process of creating a network and would definitely be feel privileged if you also, the speakers from today would also be a part of that network, and we would be collaborating on sharing data, information, and any other monitoring activities that are undergoing in your respective landscapes. And so we will be in touch regarding this. So with that, again, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for joining us today and being a part of the International Clouded Day webinar. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.